So for the second year in a row, the Blazers, and more specifically Damian Lillard, are not in the playoffs. But we need to talk about the one time in the playoffs where Damian Lillard could not miss.
Game 5 against the Denver Nuggets in the 2021 playoffs. It's a great performance, but it just makes me sad.
It's so sad to see because usually an all-time great playoff performance, the team actually wins the game. But of course, his teammates could not help him whatsoever.
What's new at this point?
Before we get into talking about Dame's historic playoff game, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on any new uploads. Before we start talking about Game 5, let's get you caught up to speed. Game 1 of this series, I remember the Blazers won. They go into Denver. They shot the lights out. 19 of 40 from 3. Everybody was hitting threes for us. Melo off the bench, Anthony Simons off the bench, Dame and CJ. And I remember I said this is the best Blazer team ever after that performance.
Oh, you did.
I did.
You were saying that not only after that performance, you were saying that throughout the entire season too.
I mean, our offense was just so good. It turns out you need to be good at defense to win, but our offense, I think we set the record at the time for the best offensive rating. We could shoot the lights out.
And now I'll come back. What was our defense like?
I think it was one of the worst defenses in the league.
What?
I mean, you had Dame and CJ as your guards, and then Norman Powell as your small forward, so that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we were hella confident after this game 1, though. I mean, we had just beaten the Nuggets 2 years ago in the playoffs, so, get game 1 on the road in Denver. They don't have Jamal Murray or Michael Porter Jr., so we were like, I'm about to beat the Nuggets again.
That's what we thought. And then game 2, they humbled us real quick. We lost by nearly 20. Dame dropped 42. He had a great game, but it wasn't enough. And the series was tied 1-1 after that, but we got humbled real quick.
It'll happen to you. We still were probably way overconfident, but they're 1-1 coming back to Portland. Game 3, we actually went to this game. This was the first game we went to since probably like February of 2020. Because I remember we were at Melo's first game as a Blazer. We really wanted to see him debut. So first game in like 17 months. Moda Center was like half full, but still, all the hype in the world, and we lost.
Yeah, there was so much hype going into this game. We could finally go see the Blazers in the playoffs again. And I remember after this loss, for whatever reason, I was like, that's the series. We just lost the series. I don't know why I felt so strong about that. I'd just seen so many Blazer playoff losses before, and by then I could just tell that was the series, that game 3.
Question, did you give up on us after we lost game 2 at home to New Orleans?
No, I did not.
But you gave up after we lost game 3 to the Nuggets when it's still 2-1. All we had to do was win game 4?
Because that was a different era of Blazer fandom. You were younger, you had more hope in the world before you got crushed over and over again by the Warriors. It was a different time. By the time 2021 rolls around 3 years later, reality starts to set in at that point.
You know a Blazer collapse when you see one.
Yeah. First couple times you're in the denial stage. Once it happens for about the 5th time, you're like, okay, I've seen this show before.
See, I was still probably in the denial phase because I still was like, okay, lost game 3. That's not great. But hey, we lost game 4 in 2019 against them after we beat them in the 4 overtime game. Another game we went to, I remember after that game, I was like, oh, the Nuggets are done. Like, you can't come back from losing a quadruple overtime game. So I was like, you know what? Let's just get game 4, which we did, led by like 30 at one point, won by 20. Dame played terribly. I was like, all right, it's 2-2. And now we get to game 5. Oh, brother.
In game 5, the Nuggets dominated us early. They start up 14-1. They led by 20 at one point in the second quarter, but slowly the Blazers with that good offense, we go on a 14-0 run and we kind of claw back, and that sets up Damian Lillard, his 4th quarter in overtime, which are just straight up historic.
Genuinely, I think it might be the greatest playoff game ever played. Like, it's not the greatest performance because obviously they didn't win. It was in the first round. It was a game 5. Like, there's not much historical significance, but just in terms of the basketball being played on the court, like LeBron's 48 against Detroit, his 45, 15, and 5 against Boston rivals it. But in terms of one guy literally keeping a team alive, I think it's up there.
I mean, statistically, if you're just looking at stats, it straight up is. It was the most efficient 50-point playoff game ever. It was 97% true shooting. He basically played a perfect game. He had 55 points, 10 assists. He shot 12 of 17 from 3. That's That does not seem like a real stat. Like, maybe someone could do that against the Houston Rockets in the regular season, but you do that in a playoff game? That's insane.
I don't have any words. I really don't. I remember sitting where we are right now, right where we're recording, watching that game, and just every time he hit one of these shots, just like jumping up and screaming, just like, I couldn't believe what I was watching. The shots that he was hitting, he wasn't just hitting 3-pointers, he was hitting step backs, contested, like spinning 3-pointers, like he'd drive to his left, spin to his right, take a fadeaway 3 with a guy right in his face, and just bury it. Like, he was hitting shots that were so difficult. Austin Rivers at one point thanked God that he missed a shot. Think about that. A grown man professional athlete thanked the Lord when he missed a shot.
I mean, that was your only hope. You couldn't do anything on defense. Like, people were draped all over him and he was still hitting, so that was your only hope at that point, that God was going to cause him to miss, and Dame did everything he could. 12 threes, playoff record.
You, Curry. Take that. You don't have everything on Dame.
But his teammates did absolutely nothing. If anything, they did the opposite. They almost purposely lost this game. CJ McCollum, 18 points on 22 shots. Norman Powell, 13 points on 14 shots. Melo and Ant combined off the bench for 14 points on 18 shots. Like, this was just insane from them.
NBA's got to look into the whole, players can own sports gambling organizations and whatnot. Because something like this, like, the blatant throwing of a game like this cannot happen again.
This looked like match fixing. Remember those Covington missed dunks? CJ stepping out of bounds to basically seal our fate?
Haven't seen match fixing like that since Paul Crew.
Exactly. I mean, he scored 17 of our 19 points over the course of the 2 overtimes.
Shout out Enes Kanter, getting that other 2 points.
Getting a little layup or whatever it was. Nurk fouled out, so we had no one to guard Jokic. Like, there was nothing he could have done. And honestly, it's just depressing because this single game represents Damian Lillard's entire career as a Portland Trailblazer to me.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, everyone who's always like banging on Dame and says he's not as good as Kyrie or Russ or Harden. First of all, y'all are wrong. Second of all, this man has had no help his entire career. And I know people are always like, oh, he needs to leave Portland. No, this is on the Trailblazers organization, and specifically a guy who's no longer there, Neil Olshey, for saying year after year after year that it was not a roster problem. Really, Neil? Really?
We had 3 players in our starting lineup, 6'4" or under. And Neil Olshey's like, yeah, this is a title team. Could definitely win the title when you got 3 midgets out there.
He saw we were getting cooked by Austin Rivers in the first round. I was like, oh yeah, this team could compete with the Warriors.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We're getting cooked by Austin Rivers. We definitely won't get cooked by Stephen Clay.
This game, Dame's past few years just represent, we've basically wasted this man's prime. Like, he's still insane. He had his best season ever this year. He can still compete at a high level for sure, but the bulk of this dude's prime, our front office just straight wasted him, and it's just straight up depressing. It is so sad.
Yeah. I was gonna come up with something snappy, but the more you kept talking, the more I just was like, we really wasted the best player in our franchise's history.
Yep, we really did. And in case you guys were wondering how this series wrapped up, it comes back home for Game 6. There was still another game. Didn't really feel like it, but there was.
Yeah, they might as well have just called this after Game 5.
Yeah, we were up, 14 points at one point in this game?
Didn't matter. We were gonna lose.
Yeah, we were gonna lose no matter what. Got outscored by 14 points in the 4th quarter. And that wrapped it up. That was the last time Damian Lillard and the Portland Trailblazers have been in the playoffs.
Damn it. Prayers up to get Big Vic.
Yeah, we'll see. Hey, we're in the lottery. You never know. So what do you guys think of Dame's all-time performance? And does he need to leave Portland? If you guys enjoyed the video, please consider clicking another video on screen, like the video, and subscribe to Synthetic Sports.